Hi guys, it's me, Faye, here at Faye Desk, and I have a new series for you all, but this won't be maybe a semi-regular series, I'm not too sure. It's called Faye's Fairly Important Rants, which I'm pretty sure you can guess by the title what it's about. I'll be uploading to this series on an as and when basis, which I suppose is pretty much the same for all of my series that I do, but I won't be, obviously, be something when I feel like I need to rant about. And if you can see me looking down, I'm just looking at my phone because I have a note on here that I've had since October when I went to America for a video. And it's only recently I actually came up with a series title. There we go. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about, for this topic for my rant, is basically Christianity, but I'm not bashing Christianity or anything like that, as one of my best friends is Christian, and obviously my family on my dad's side is Christian, and they're lovely, and this is basically more to do with my experience when I went to stay in America back in October. My dad's wife, she's a really lovely lady, but she's very religious, and just some of the things that she said just made me. She wasn't intentionally horrible or racist or anything like that to anyone. She just it was almost like an ignorance, maybe. But literally, I remember vividly when we were in the car and we were driving home, and I was with her son and my cousin, and we was just like in the back, we was just like talking about stuff. And I don't know how, I think I said that Robert, and that's her son, I think I said that his room, his like computer room, his game room, which was he was staying in, and I was staying in his bedroom next door, I said, oh, it smells really musty. And she sort of like hinted that he'd been like masturbating, and we were all like laughing and making jokes or whatever, and he was embarrassed and blah blah blah. But what she said next really, really surprised me, is that she said that you could speak to the doctor or whatever, and masturbating obviously is a perfectly normal body function and whatever, like, which obviously it is. She said, but it's a sin. And I was like, I didn't really say anything because I didn't want to be rude, but I was like, really? And she was like, yeah. She was like, it's like, from a like sort of like a medical perspective, it's normal, but from a like, I suppose from like a religious standpoint, it's a sin. And I was just like, my mind was blown. I was just like, and she was just like, oh, when he gets older, he'll grow out of it or whatever, and that basically it's a sin to touch yourself. And I was just so surprised. I guess maybe it's coming from like being in an earth-centered religion that like celebrates like sex and the body, and I'm not really open. This is probably the first time you would ever heard me talk about this sort of thing. I don't really talk about it very much, but I'm not a prude, but I'm not one of those people, which is fine if you are like really sort of like open and talk about all their sexual exploits and stuff. Like, that's not really me personally. I like to sort of like keep it private, but at the same time, I just can't believe like there's nothing more natural than like exploring a body, and it's like a celebration of like who you are and what you like and what you don't like, and just to think that someone or some form of doctrine would say that it's a sin, it's sinful to touch your own body. Like, I don't understand. Like, you're not harming anyone or anything. Like, it's your own body, it's your own self. I don't understand how that can be a sin. And that's another thing that I hate. I hate that in Christianity particularly, I mean, other religions will probably have their own sort of ways for demonizing things, but the term sin is branded around so much, and it just shocks me. Like, is it's just like everything's like seen as a sin. It's like they use the word sin to sort of like, and say that people are like going to go to hell or whatever, to sort of scare people into doing like what they deem is the right thing to do. And it just really sits uneasy with me. And another experience when I went to America, and this time round I found I had so many experiences. I actually went to a church, and Robin, my dad's wife, invited me to a church. She said, "Oh, do you want to come to a Sunday service with me?" And even though I'm not Christian, and she knows that I'm Wiccan, and she asked me about it, and I sort of tried to explain it in a way that she'd understand, I said, yeah, because I thought it would be a really good experience. And it was. We went to the World Harvest Church in Ohio, which is where my dad lives. We went to the World Harvest Church for a Sunday service. And literally, I don't know, I was just expecting this like small little church, like tiny little car park, and you go in, and I don't know, but it was just huge. It was a massive car park. It was just a massive, massive building. There was even like a small little, like, they had their own school in there and everything, and it was just huge. And literally, it was in a massive, massive, like, where they have the service, like, massive, like, sort of, like, stadium concert thing with all these, like, all these chairs going up, and, like, yeah, it was just crazy. Literally, there was a few thousand people there, and Robin actually said to me that this was the small amount, and that usually it's completely packed out, but to me, I just couldn't believe. And there was, like, ushers, and it was just crazy. And the guy, he was a white guy, and I've completely forgotten his name, but that's so annoying. But if you want to find out more, you can like Google it and you'll find World Harvest Church. But he was quite a charismatic man. But the thing, it just like, and everyone was singing and dancing. But what felt wrong to me and felt fake to me was the way he sort of like, he would say, "Oh, I need money for my friend needs this," or whatever. 5 people are going to give me $100 each. Like, literally people were just going up and giving him checks, and it was just crazy. And then at one point he was saying he was getting the demon out of him, and he was like, I don't know, he was like falling down. He'd touch people and they'd just like be like falling on the floor, and to me it just seemed so staged. But these people were loving it and saying they were healed, and maybe to them they are, but to me it was just such a crazy experience. And then at the end of the service, if you want to, you can be blessed like by these different like churchgoers at the end. So we like walked down, and this one black woman, she was really lovely, but she said, "Oh, what do you want?" And I said, "Oh, I guess to be more happy," which is obviously something that I am like consciously working at. And she said, "Oh, are you Christian?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Oh, you said there's like sinner's prayer." And I was like, "No." And she hugged me, and she was like, "Oh, say it with me." And I thought, "Oh, I'll just say it anyway, just to see." And it was just like I didn't feel any different. She was like, "Oh, you feel different, you've taken like Jesus into your soul." And she was like hugging me, and she was saying such an amazing experience, and like I just didn't feel anything. It was just so strange, and always people around me were asking for these blessings and stuff, and I don't know. And also what I didn't like was when service was starting, some people were still sort of arriving, and the preacher was telling them off for being late, saying that they were lazy, that if they can be on time for this, they need to be on time for church, and making it like that going to church was like going to work. It was a chore that you had to do, not something that you want to do. And I feel that your faith or your religion should be something that you want to do, not something that you feel that you have to do, or that you're going to get in trouble if you don't go on this day at this time. And it just, I don't know, I just can't explain it, but just, oh my god, it was just such a weird experience. But also one other thing I want to say before I go as well, and this goes back to this is on the same sort of thread. When I was talking to Robin when we were driving, and she was asking me about being Wiccan and stuff, and she said when she was younger that she looked at loads of different religions, like look at like Buddhism and blah blah blah. Well, I can't remember if she used any other examples, but that's the example that she used. And she said that she feels sad because they're worshipping a false god. And I was like, really, what do you mean? She was like, Jesus is the she was like Jesus and God and Christianity, like the only God, like, worshipping a false God if you follow any other sort of religion. And she said that I want to go straight to heaven, like, I don't want to go to hell. She actually believes that if she was to partake in any other form of, like, faith or religion, that she would actually end up in hell. And I just don't like how people are sort of scared into believing that if they don't act or live a certain way that they're going to go to hell. And I don't know, it just didn't really sit right with me. I don't know, it just didn't feel right. Hi guys, sorry about that. I had to end the video to carry on because for some reason my camera really doesn't like going much over 10 minutes. It won't save a video, and I would have been so annoyed because I would not have remembered all this stuff that I was ranting about. So anyway, as I was saying about, she was saying about worshipping a false god, like, I don't like the fact that there's only one true God, which all theological religions tend to sort of, as a sort of broad, sweeping generalization. Obviously, there's different branches in these religions that's slightly different, but as a whole, they tend to only believe that there's one true God, and their God is the one true God, and that's how we've ended up with so many, like, religious crusades and genocides and things, and it's horrible. Like, I don't understand why people can't see that like, personally, like, I believe in multiple different gods and goddesses, and I personally believe that they're all manifestations of the same thing. And I also believe that who I believe in and who, say, a Muslim believing in Allah, that it's the same thing, it's just a different way of interpreting it. Like, I don't see why other people and other religions and things find that really, really hard concept to grasp. Like, if you look at, obviously I studied, like, philosophy and ethics and things, like, at sixth form and things like that, and I really used to love RE in school, but I'm obviously no scholar, and I'm not saying that I have all the answers, and obviously if you don't agree with what I'm saying, then that's fair enough, because everyone has their own opinion, but this is my opinion, so please don't bash me for it. But I personally believe, if you look at all the key theological religions, like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and you actually look at their very basic principles and their beliefs, like, they are, in essence, the same. They're just interpreted differently, which makes sense, because it's in different parts of the world. Obviously, if someone receives these teachings or finds a book, however it happens, in a different part of the world, obviously their language is different, their experiences, their culture, their learning, obviously, you could hand the same book to each different part in the world, and obviously you are going to end up with different interpretations, because those people have different cultures and live differently. But I don't understand why people can't just seem to celebrate the, like, differences and things like that. And worshipping a false god, I just really don't. It made me feel really, really uncomfortable. I just don't like. I don't know. It's just silly. I've only given Robin a very simple explanation of what Wicca is. I didn't even know that she knew that I was Wiccan. But obviously she must have been paying more attention to my Facebook page than I thought. Like, my actual Facebook account. Because obviously I like loads of, like, pagan pages and fairy pages and blah, blah, blah. And I post stuff and stuff. But I gave her a very simple explanation because I didn't want to be... Like, I was very grateful, like, for her, like, having me in her home and stuff, and I do like her, and I do really get on with her, and I didn't want to be disrespectful, and I believe that you can say things without being disrespectful to another person, so I sort of said in a simple way, and she was, very sort of open, like, fine with it or whatever, and I don't know, it just threw me when she said that. But another example, a last example, like, literally this journey this time, it was just really amazing in that I actually sort of got to see firsthand, like, their sort of, like, Christian lifestyles and meet other Christians and things like that, which was really interesting. Obviously, I have no intention of becoming a Christian or anything like that. Like, it really, really doesn't interest me. But the last example I'll give you is, we went, she said, oh, do you want to meet one of my neighbours? They sort of live in big houses down the end of, like, a cul-de-sac, and we went to meet one of her neighbours. She was a Christian woman. I think they go to church together or Bible study or things like that sometimes, and she gets on well with her. My lady was really nice, but I felt that she was just literally just going on and sort of like almost trying to push like Christianity down my throat. And she was a lovely lady. She even gave me a book on Jesus, and I was just like, really? But this was all fine. But the thing that got me the most is she even came back to the house after and was talking about the devil and things like that for like such like a long time. And she was saying, like, when she'd had children, one of her children or something, she must have had, like, postnatal depression, but she saw it as the work of the devil. And I don't know, it just, like, threw me. I was just like, wow. Like, it's almost like, that was, like, a darker side of herself. It was real, but we have dark and light sides, and obviously it was just issues that she needed to work through to come to the other end, but she just felt that the devil was trying to take her away from the light or whatever. But no, the thing that threw me was talking about, cause when I went, this was when the Ebola crisis had first reached back to like America, when that gentleman, I've completely forgotten his name, blown back on an airplane, had like come back from, was it Sierra Leone, I think it was, and he had like Ebola, and there was all this big hoo-ha that he was on a plane and blah blah blah. But obviously it was really sad because he died like a few days later. But then there was another, she was Chinese descent, I think, woman. She was a nurse, and she'd been working on front lines, and she'd got Ebola. And obviously she actually made a full recovery. But at the time she was like sick in the hospital, and then this has sort of come out, she just made a recovery. And I remember the neighbour and Robin were talking about how that they knew that she would be fine because she was a good Christian woman. And that really, really didn't sit right with me, that she was fine, that she, basically they're saying she got to live, and this other guy and thousands of other people in Africa, and children and whatnot, that die from Ebola, die because they're not good Christian people. That really, really, really bothered me. Like, they were like, I just knew she was going to live, she was a good Christian woman. Like, why, like, if God is what they say he is, and he's all-encompassing and all-loving, and surely he wouldn't basically pick and choose who lives and dies of Ebola based on whether he thinks that they go to church enough, or they pray hard enough, or they do this or that in the community. Like, surely God, he wouldn't be like that. I don't think that he would care about something like that. Like, really, I don't. I just don't see how they can think like that. I'm really horrible. But anyway, I just feel like I've gone on a big tangent, but this is what these rants are going to be like. But I would love for you to comment below and let me know what your thoughts are on the topic, and if you have any other sort of rants and topics you'd love me to cover. Like, it's quite fun just sort of venting, so yeah, so let me know, and I will see you all in my next video.